man, I love that music. It just gets me so excited. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Sorry we're a little bit late. We were making sure everything was perfect for y'all, because we know that's what you demand from us, is perfection. So hopefully it all works out perfect for you today. We have Mr. Andrew Branca in the house. Thank you, Andrew, for being here.
As always, it's my pleasure, Nate.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what today is. It's Wednesday. It means it's calling the shots. Today we're going to put you in the jury seat. You're going to be asked, is this a good shot or a bad shot? We've got a video. We've broken it down into several pieces. You're going to watch these things. We're going to get insider information from Mr. Branca. And he probably going to give you a little bit more information as we watch and go along. And you make the call. And then we'll see if you are correct. Do you know your 5 elements of self-defense law? Hopefully. It's Wednesday. It's calling the shots. It's time to fire away. All right. First of all, I hope you all have downloaded your 5 elements of self-defense law right there. You can get it at thelawofselfdefense.com/CTS elements. CTS is calling the shots. That's the elements. Make sure you have that. It's a free download, and you can follow along with us and make sure we're covering those. Andrew, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey, brother. How are you?
Just right. Doing okay. I think we've got a video here. I don't know. I know we started a little late here, so we might want to just get right into it. I don't know if you've got any other things you want to talk about.
Yeah, a little background. One is, so this is about a 5 or 6 year old video. It involves a robbery, armed robbery. The armed robber has a knife of a convenience store or a liquor store. There's only one victim. The victim's a woman who works in the store. And what we'll do with these videos is, we have a couple different angles of videos, but we play the videos in segments, not the entire video all at once, and we kind of progress you through the events as they occur. So we'll see the first few seconds of the encounter of the armed robbery, and I'll talk through the relevant legal issues there, what's interesting about it from a self-defense law perspective, and we'll have a little bit of discussion. We may have a little survey. I'm not sure if we're doing that this week or not. And then once we're done discussing those issues, we'll roll the next successive bit of the video and discuss the additional issues that come up there. And hopefully everyone will have a grand old time.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, here comes the first portion of the video. Here we go.
Okay, so it's a little dark, but there's the woman works there. There's the robber wearing a mask, and he's got a knife clearly there. He's approaching the woman. He's going to order her back into the store so he can commence with the armed robbery. The woman here is completely compliant. There they go into the store, and now the video will just loop. But one of the questions I wanted to pose for all of you, this woman does not have a gun on her person, and she's faced with a masked, knife-wielding aggressor, a criminal, a robber. If she had a gun on her person, presumably carrying it in an alien gear holster, when this man approaches her right here, she turns and sees him. Let's ignore the tactics, whether it would be smart to do from a tactical perspective, and just look at the legal aspects. When she turns and sees this masked man with the knife, at that point, would it be a good shoot to simply draw her pistol and shoot this guy in the face?
Here we go. So that's the first one. We're going to run that poll right now, Andrew.
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and run it. We can stop the video. It's just the same thing.
But we could keep it rolling, but we're gonna run that poll. It's already up and running, so you can keep going.
Oh, I see. Okay. You know. That's the question. Could she just turn? She turns and sees this guy. He's wearing a mask. He's wielding a knife. He's ordering her back into the store. Could you just draw her pistol and shoot this guy in the face? And to know the answer to that question, you have to know whether the required elements of a self-defense claim are present. And those are, of course, the 5 elements: innocence, imminence, proportionality, avoidance, and reasonableness. And as we step through those, well, the element of innocence is satisfied because clearly he's the unlawful aggressor here. The element of imminence is satisfied because the threat is actually occurring. It's not some speculative future threat or completed threat. The element of proportionality is satisfied because he's threatening her with deadly force, the knife, and therefore a deadly force response would be appropriate. The element of avoidance doesn't really apply because you're only ever required to avoid if you can do so with complete safety, and the guy's in such close proximity that there's no credible means of avoidance. And in any case, 3/4 of states don't require the element of avoidance anyway. And in terms of reasonableness, that's an interesting one here. So is she reasonably perceiving an imminent deadly force threat when she turns and sees this guy? What if it turned out, for example, that the guy's knife was actually a plastic knife? It was a rubber knife that could not potentially cause her actual death or serious bodily injury. Would that undermine her claim of self-defense if she draws her pistol and shoots this guy in the face? The answer is no, because she's not required to have a perfect perception of what's going on. She's not required to make perfect decisions in self-defense. The law allows for her to mistakenly perceive the knife as real and act accordingly, so long as that mistaken perception is a reasonable perception. If under the circumstances a reasonable person would perceive the knife as real, she's entitled to conduct herself in self-defense as if it were a real knife. And if it later turns out to be rubber, that's meaningless for purposes of her privilege to use deadly force in self-defense. And certainly given the context of these circumstances, folks, if someone's closing on you with a knife in their hand wearing a mask, they're not about to ask you for a cigarette. Right? They're there to commit an armed robbery. That's a deadly force attack. Now, could it turn out later it was some kind of college prank, a rubber knife, some way in which it was not actually a deadly force threat against you? That's possible, but it doesn't matter in terms of your legal justification for using deadly force in self-defense.
There you go. Don't be pulling those pranks. That's not smart.
That's a good way to get killed.
Yeah, it's a great way to get
all the
killed.
time. People wear weird costumes. They confront a stranger on the street at night, scare the heck out of them. Folks, if that stranger's got a pistol, they're likely to draw and shoot you, and lawfully so.
Exactly. Andrew, I just want you to know the poll has been completed. 83% of people think it's a good shot.
Good shot. If she had taken a shot. Now, she didn't take a shot. She didn't have a gun on her person. We'll see that as we proceed. But that's the kind of discussion I wanted to have at that point of the video. So if we could go into the second video at this point.
Right, here we go.
So we'll see the beginning here again. She's straightening up or whatever. Here comes the bad guy with the knife. You see the knife there in his hand. He gets her back into the store. He's ordering her in. They go into the store. Now we see inside the store. She's still being compliant. Here we see she's being approached, just a different camera angle. She gets into the store. And he's saying, give me your money. She's reaching apparently here for the money. What changes now that she's actually in the store? Well, quite a bit, actually. If she's in a state, in the jurisdiction that defines a place of employment or a place of business as highly defensible property, because of states that do that treat your place of business just as if this guy was invading your home. And if he's invading your home, many states create a legal presumption that you had a reasonable fear of death, imminent death or serious bodily injury, which gives you 3 of the 5 elements that you need to justify using deadly force against this guy.
So let's stop right there. So we want to run another poll. So now she's inside the store. She turns around, obviously, or maybe you could take it from here. Right there, you see the video paused. She reaches for something. He's now inside. Is it a good shot? Now that she's inside, he's kind of inside. I don't know. The video's still playing, but I don't think we can pause it at the very end. Here it comes. It's coming up here. You can see as she comes inside.
Coming up. A legal presumption of reasonableness, this being highly defensible property, would give her the elements of an imminent threat, a deadly force threat, which is proportionality, and assumes that her perception of the threat is a reasonable perception. The 4th element, avoidance, frankly, wouldn't apply in these facts because the proximity is too close. But in any case, it would be waived because she's in highly defensible property. That's 4 of the 5 elements handed to her to justify her shooting this guy in the face. The only element left is the element of innocence, and clearly that's checked off because this guy's an armed robber. He's the initial physical aggressor. So by pursuing her into the store. This guy has now handed her every legal condition she would ever need to get shot in the face by this woman. Unfortunately for her, things get a bit complicated, as we'll see in a few moments.
We just ran another poll, Andrew. 100% of people say at this point it is a good shot to take.
Well, the Alien Gear community is a very smart community.
Hey, you heard it right here. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Just kidding.
And folks, again, if you've just jumped in, if we could put that graphic back up for the five elements. As you hear me talk about these 5 elements, folks, this is how self-defense law is defined in all 50 states. If you don't know these 5 elements, I don't care if you took a concealed carry course someplace. I don't care if you're a cop or a lawyer. If you don't know these 5 elements, you do not know self-defense law. We make it available for free at lawselfdefense.com/CTS elements, just as a handy guide. So when we talk about innocence, imminent proportionality, you know what the heck we're talking about.
Exactly. There you go. All right, so here comes video clip number 3. Let's watch this.
So again, it'll back up a few seconds. So she's coming into the store. The guy approaches her outside. She comes into the store at his command. Of course, he's still got the knife, right? He's threatening her life. She reaches for, oh my gosh, she's got a gun. Look how surprised that guy is. I love this part of the video. No one is more shocked than this dude that she pulls what looks like a giant revolver out from behind that counter. He's instantly realizing that he's brought a knife to a gunfight. He does not want to get shot, which is a prudent position to take, and he runs away. So at this moment, she's pulled the gun. She's pointing it at him. She does not shoot. The guy runs out the door, starts running away. She has not shot him. Could she have shot him? Absolutely. All the same elements exist as existed before. I mean, could she have shot him? At the moment, this video pauses. So he's in the doorway. He's got his hands up. He realizes he brought a knife to a gunfight. Would that be right there? Right there. Well, of course, he's kind of flinching back, taking maybe a little half step back. It's hard to know if this woman would even know that's what he was doing. Certainly, he's still within close enough proximity to bring the knife to bear against her. If she doesn't shoot. But we just learned from the Michael Draka case down in Florida, the handicap parking spot case, where Michael Draka was thrown to the ground by someone, pulled his gun, pointed it at the person who'd shoved him, and that person took about a half step back. And in the eyes of the jury, that half step back was enough to indicate that Draka should not shoot him. When Draka had in fact shot and killed him, and Drake is now going to spend the rest of his life in prison. So this becomes a more complicated dilemma now after the Michael Draka case than it would have been before. Before Draka, I would have said that little motion by that guy, he's still a clear threat, especially, remember, decisions take time. And what's actually happening to this woman when she doesn't shoot here is something I see in a lot of cases, a lot of these videos, where all the conditions for the use of deadly defensive force have been checked off. That shot can be lawfully fired, but the person's uncertain. The defender is uncertain about whether they should fire. Are they allowed? Are they going to end up going to jail if they shoot this person? And you can almost see the wheels spinning in their head. They're trying to make a decision. And unfortunately, that's a very bad place to be in. Now, I want to emphasize to everyone listening, I'm not encouraging anyone to shoot someone if you don't need to, okay? If consistent with safety, you cannot shoot that person. You're better off not shooting them. But what's very dangerous is to be in the position where you could shoot. That person's still an imminent deadly force threat against you, and now you can't decide what you're doing. You need to be decisive in these situations. Now, that decision might be shoot or it might be not shoot, but you have to be decisive about what you're doing because you're in a deadly force fight. If you weren't, you wouldn't be pointing a gun at somebody.
So I want to be very clear. I know most of you already taken this poll and answered the question on this video right here. And what we wanted to do was have you make the decision of when it freezes and you see the little red circle around her gun before he makes a couple of moves to exit. At that moment, when it's frozen, when you see this red circle around her gun, can she make that shot? Is that a good shot or a bad shot? Not as the clip plays a little bit longer, like we were talking about. He takes a couple of steps back and whatever. But at that moment that it freezes, that is the question that we were asking, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. Is that a good shot? I think we can publish those results as well, Riley. But or wait, it's still going. Never mind. They're still voting.
Yeah, it's the same video.
Um,
So,
but Andrew,
oh no,
no,
yeah.
we're not showing the next clip yet.
Okay,
We're still on clip number 3. So what we were talking about. So at that clip, there's a freeze frame, right? That you were talking
right
about.
there.
Where,
Yeah.
yeah, right. That's the moment we're talking about.
Is we know as a practical matter that very often when the defender displays their gun, that ends the fight without any shots having to be fired, and that's certainly a better outcome than if you're compelled to actually shoot someone. Again,
Right.
if you cannot shoot that person, you're almost invariably better off, because if you shoot them and they die, now you're looking at criminal liability on the order of murder or manslaughter and the rest of your life in prison if you're convicted. If you've only threatened them with the gun, at worst, you're looking at an aggravated assault or battery charge if you cause them some injury, but they don't die. That's bad, folks. Aggravated assault or battery is a long prison sentence, but it's not life, and there's a possibility of early release. So even if everything goes wrong and you lose the legal battle, the consequences are much less severe if you don't kill that person than if you do kill that person. Um, and that's, and then we could also, it's outside the scope of what I do. I'm just a small town lawyer, but all the moral and ethical consideration.
Man.
You don't want to be killing people you don't need to kill, right? We use deadly force so that we will not die, we will not be maimed, we will not be raped. But there's really only a handful of circumstances that ought to, for a normal law-abiding person, justify the taking of another human life.
Absolutely. We've got the 4th clip here. We're going to run another poll. Wait to answer the poll until we tell you exactly what we're talking about. So let's run that clip number 4 here. Here it is. Okay.
All right. So it starts at the beginning again. The guy with the bad guy with the knife approaches the woman, gets her into the store. She reaches behind the counter, comes out with her big gun, and then she chases him out of the store. And he starts running away, and bam, she fires the shot right there.
So that's the poll. That's the poll we're gonna.
Right. At that moment, she actually now has fired the shot. Is this a good shoot or a bad shoot? And we've been talking throughout all these video clips up to this moment, at almost any time, if she had shot this guy, close to 100% of you are saying that it would have been a good shoot. And I concur with that opinion. But now the circumstances have changed, right? These encounters are dynamic, and the previous circumstances no longer apply. At the moment she breaks that shot, what are the 5 elements of self-defense? Arguably, this guy, in fleeing, has ended his initial act of aggression. That fight's over. A good argument can be made that now she's initiating a second fight in which she's the aggressor and does not have that element of innocence that's required for self-defense. In terms of imminent, this guy's no longer presenting an imminent threat. Now, it might be different if he'd robbed her with a gun and could fire a shot over his shoulder. Maybe then it's still an imminent threat, but that's not the fact here. He's got a knife, and it's very difficult for someone who's running away from you at top speed to bring a knife to bear against you. In terms of the element of proportionality, well, her using deadly defensive force requires that she be facing a deadly force threat. Earlier, she was. As he's running away, she's not. She's not facing any degree of threat, so she certainly fails the element of proportionality. In terms of avoidance, man, she's chasing this guy now. She's going to the fight rather than the fight coming to her, so she doesn't have the element of avoidance. And in terms of reasonableness, well, that's really out the door, because she's effectively lost all the other elements, and reasonableness is only really applied to the other elements. So this is a situation in which all the way up to this point, this woman could have shot this man in the face and had it be totally lawful. Unfortunately, by the time she gets around, by the time the spinning wheels in her head finally get traction and she ends up firing the shot, she's firing it now after the threat is no longer there. And that's not a lawful use of force in self-defense. I don't think. I shouldn't buy it for a result.
So here's the results. The whole time it was 100%. Well, it still is, I guess. 100% of you say that's a bad shot for her to make. And you are correct. That is a bad shot for her to make. And this also goes back to me, like, draw your firearm fast and get on target fast, because it only takes a matter of seconds for him to flee, and then all of a sudden you're in a different situation. Like, she may have made that decision, like, right when she saw the knife, I'm going to shoot this guy. I know where my gun is. But she didn't do it when she should have done it. She did it too late. Chase the
Right.
guy. I mean, that's. I mean,
So, and it's not, I mean, it's understandable how people can make that decision, especially under stress. But the fact that it's understandable doesn't make it lawful. Now, as it happens, she's very lucky. She missed. But if she had shot this guy in the back of the head as he was running away,
oh man,
imagine how that would have looked to prosecutors, to police, to newspapers. That would have looked pretty darn awful. And there was no need for the shot to be fired because she was no longer under threat, and the person was not a threat to. There was no other parties around that he might have been threatening. Just no legal justification. Now she did that. I have no doubt she fired that shot not out of malice, but simply because the gears in her brain finally caught up. And we have to be cognizant of how dynamic these situations are. That legal privilege to use deadly force in self-defense can be imagined like a window, and the window can open or close. For most of this video, that window of justification for using deadly defensive force was open. Unfortunately, she hesitated so long that by the time her brain told her to pull the trigger, the window had closed. And if she'd hit him and struck him, that would simply not have been a lawful use of force in self-defense, simply because of poor decision-making. And it's understandable, again, because, most of us we're law-abiding American citizens. We just go about our day. Maybe we have a gun. Maybe we carry a gun for personal protection. But most people who defend themselves with guns, folks, don't have any tactical training, have not taken, much to my chagrin, a law of self-defense course or read my book. They just haven't thought these things through in a responsible way, and you absolutely owe it to yourself to know what you need to know, to have the skills you need to have to make yourself and your family hard to kill, and know the legal boundaries well enough so that, heaven forbid, you ever find yourself in a position where you have to use that defensive force, that you're hard to convict, not because you know any legal tricks, but because you were well within the legal boundaries. And if you're within the legal boundaries, folks, a self-defense case is very difficult for a prosecutor to win unless you've clearly stepped over that legal boundary. If you stay well within those legal boundaries, the prospects of getting prosecuted and convicted are very, very low. Unfortunately, my legal practice is devoted almost entirely to normal law-abiding people who, usually through ignorance, they didn't know where the legal boundary was. They stepped over it without even realizing it. This woman probably thought it was lawful for her to fire that shot. She just didn't know any better. And unfortunately, not knowing any better is just a way of arming yourself to go to prison.
Right. I love the analogy that we use is like the speeding thing, right? Like, well, I didn't know it was 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. Doesn't matter. You need to know. And you're getting a ticket. Well, this is just on a larger scale. So there's some comments here about hesitation. Part of it is hesitation, yes. Again, avoidance is probably going to be your best bet. If you don't have to, don't take the life of another human being. Obviously, that guy saw the gun. He was gone, and she didn't need to shoot at all, and took care of the situation.
So what I encourage people to do is, when you read about these events in the news and you see these videos, put yourself in the position of the defender, just as a training exercise, and think to yourself, at this point, what would I do? At that point, what would I do? You may decide that, hey, if I'm someplace and a masked man with a knife is within 2 feet of me threatening my life, I'm just going to draw and shoot. Because I thought it through ahead of time, that all the conditions for the legal use of defensive force have been met. Or you may decide, well, maybe I won't shoot under those circumstances. Maybe I'll feel I have the luxury of being patient. And that's a call only you can make, but it needs to be an informed call, not a decision that you're trying to figure out in the moment. When you're facing that guy with the knife, that's not the time to whip out the law of self-defense and start leafing through the you need to have made these decisions to as great a degree as possible well beforehand, because under stress, under an attack, your mental bandwidth is incredibly constrained. It's not like going through your normal day. Every decision becomes a very difficult decision, and the more of that you can have thought out beforehand, the more mental bandwidth is available for things like the top priority, winning the physical fight to make sure you survive long enough to have to worry about the legal fight at all.
Well, and the reality is it's not even a decision at that moment. It needs to be an instinctual thing that you're doing, that you've thought about it so much, you've ran through your brain. You don't have time to go, Well, does it cover all 5? Okay, you don't. You need to just know. That's why you need to know these inside and out. And that's what I love about the show. We do it every week. We're just getting that ingrained in your brain, just hitting you over the head over and over and over. And we're going to keep doing this because I think this is super invaluable. I think it's so important. And these things have to be inside your brain so you don't have to think about it. It's instinctual. And you just know. You don't have to try to figure it out. You already figured it out. It's incredible.
Nate, do you guys have a graphic for a free book offer?
We do.
Why don't we go ahead and put that up? Folks, you just saw me hold up our book. For the Alien Gear community, we have a free book offer running right now. It's that picture is of our hardcover book. The free book offers for the soft cover. Sorry about that, folks. The hardcover is expensive for us to make. The book's normally about $25 on Amazon. In fact, you can look at it there. There's hundreds of reviews. It's 5-star rated. People love the book. I say with all humility. Normally it's $25 plus shipping and handling. We do ask you to cover the shipping and handling, but the book itself is free. And you can get that at, lawofselfdefense.com/CTS book. Just pay $3.95 shipping and handling, and we'll send you out that book, today or tomorrow, if you order it right now. Now, we only run these free book offers periodically, so if you're at all interested, I'd encourage you to take advantage of it now because they don't run forever for obvious reasons. Part of our business is selling the book for actual money as opposed to passing money on to the U.S. Postal Service.
Well, that's something. Great idea. But I will tell you, there's also some really cool free stuff that Andrew's going to hook you up with. When you do, you can sign up for a newsletter, but you can also get a daily blog content, which is free to you. If you want, you can also pay some money, and you can go back and see all of them. But there is one that you can kind of visit and check out. So he is giving you guys some really good information for free. I know that it's super important for everybody to know these things. I think it's a well-used tool to equip yourself with if you're going to carry a firearm every single day for the same reason we all do, right? Protecting yourself and your family. And I couldn't put it better. You say it all the time. I'm actually going to let you say it. Why do you carry a gun, Andrew?
Yeah, well, if you're anything like me, I carry a gun for personal protection. I have every day of my adult life that it's lawfully permissible for me to do that. And I'm old, so I've been doing it a long time. I carry a gun for one reason, and that's to make me and my family hard to kill, period. Well, that's the physical fight, and you have to win that physical fight, but you don't want to win the physical fight only to spend the rest of your life in prison. So I urge you also, know the law so that you're hard to convict.
There you go. That's it for this week. I see all the comments here. We got to keep doing this. People love this. I love it. I enjoy it every single week. It never gets old. Andrew, we certainly appreciate your time and your generosity of giving people free books. Also, you can win these cool DVDs. There's lots of DVDs available. Tomorrow's our raffle. You can sign up for that at AlienGearHolsters.com/contest. We're going to be hooking you up with a state-specific DVD, so it's a DVD that's specific to your state. There's a lot of DVDs available. There's books, there's hats, there's these really cool mugs as well. And you can save 10% using the promo code AGHLOSD. Get on over to the website, lawofselfdefense.com, and you can see there's amazing 8-hour classes. There's self-defense insurance. Explains if you're looking for concealed carry insurance, it's the things that you need to know and things to avoid. There's just a whole bunch of really cool stuff over there, and we certainly appreciate your time and partnering with us and being so generous. Andrew, it's always a pleasure to have you here, so thank you so much for being here this week, and thank all of you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you being here because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Thanks for having me, Nate, as always.
And until next time, Andrew, thank you very much. And all of you, we will see you back here tomorrow. We want you to do a couple of things. We want you to carry safe, carry in comfort, and carry on.